Hi guys, so we finally hit 800. Took many hours of AFK farming, and just want to put out a thank you there for Rug and Holes from Akuma, who managed to kind of boost me the rest of the way through doing the I6 raids. Much appreciated. I have managed to obviously acquire all of the new essences as well, and I thought today's video we would just go through them and have a look at them at a very base level. I'm just going to be equipping each piece at a time so you can see what it looks like, see what it does, and then I'll give you my opinions on the piece and tell you my kind of thoughts about what builds we can have coming up over the next couple of weeks. I have got two builds that I'm working on which are very similar, which are going to be for farming. When it comes to the first piece of gear, we're going to check out the Rhino. It is going to be mostly just for, you know, overworld farming and that sort of content. I don't think there's going to be any way we can really bring it into things like challenge dungeons or raids. It's just not required and just not necessary, because you'd lose the ability of your primary attack. So it just doesn't make sense to have it going into them sort of content. So as normal, if you do like kind of the content I bring to the game, you know, when it comes to Necromancers and Diablo as a general, don't forget, like and subscribe. Goes a long way to help kind of push the numbers into the channel. And if you do want to kind of support me that a little bit further, consider becoming a member and definitely join the Discord. Now, let's have a look at the helm first. So the helm is called the Valhallow's Head. Now, this one, as we all saw in the videos when it comes to the China leaks that happened, this one is called the Crypt Charger. Now, Bone Spike now grants you a mount, increasing your movement speed and making you immune to knockback effects. The mount damages and knockbacks enemies as it moves. Bone Spike's damage is increased by 18%. So, when we all see the leaked videos, we all see this huge rhinoceros that was going to be riding on. But it sadly turns out that in live, we only got a pony. Yep, they did reduce the size of it. I don't know why. I'm having a guess to say that it caused issues in certain areas of the games when it comes to getting into spaces. And I'm not sure how much different it looks other than the reduction in size. It's very cool. It's a shame it's not just a little bit bigger. And the movement speed could have been a little bit faster. I think with the builds that I'm kind of working on at the moment, the max movement speed I've managed to pull around is 60%, which I think is absolutely fine, by the way. You know, that's only 10% short of the max we can possibly get. So when it comes to the mount and what it actually does, let's go find some mobs and you'll see. So when I target these, I hit them, they have a knock up, and it does some damage. So as you see there, one thing I am going to do is just kill this last one. Let's get rid of my familiars so we don't have any issues here. Familiars, we want to remove this so we don't have any issues. That's better. So again, when we go into it, it knocks back the enemies and it does some damage. It's pretty cool. It moves at a decent speed. You know, it stuns, knocks back. You know, it does what it says. You know. Now you can get 100% uptime on this, and obviously I'm just trying these as just base pieces of gear. So that is how the mount works. It does exactly what it tells us it's going to do. You go into it, it knocks back, it does some damage, and that's how the mount works. Now, when it's paired with other things like the shoulders, which we can go on to show you next, you do get an armor break with the shoulders. So the armor break, if I go to the shoulders here, the spare ribs, the armor break here says Bone Spikes shatters enemy armor, increasing the damage they take by 7.6% for 3 seconds, up to a maximum of 22.8%. So this is massive. Not all of the builds I'm going to do include this, because I don't think it's necessary for what this build does, but I'm sure these shoulders in other builds without the Rhino maybe can kind of work, and something will come up with them. It's just going to be a matter of trial and error, testing things over the next coming weeks. So when it comes to the shoulders on a lonesome, then what does it do? So when you target an enemy, let's get a few of these together so you can actually see. I target, it puts an armor break on them. That little symbol above is an armor break, and you'll see it disappear. Simple as that. It's going to increase your damage during that time. And obviously with the Rhino, when this is paired with Rhino, you actually get it up most of the time. You know, that just completely killed them. Charged up, obviously, spikes there. But you get that little symbol above the head to show the armor break is working. And from what I can tell, this armor break stacks with other armor breaks. I will have to come back at a later date and confirm that. But from my testing so far, it does look like it stacks with other armor breaks. Oh, here we go. We've got some blue mobs. This is better. So we can go in here. You can see the armor break above them. And if I wait a second, get them out of this. See if I can get them out of this hole. If they will follow. No, but we've got these mobs here. Armor break again on this one. And you can see it does a stun on the armor break. This is a great piece of gear. Any armor break in the game is massive. You know, to just be able to do an armor break and then do extra damage to an enemy is massive. Now, next item we're going to look at, we'll look at the chest piece. So the chest piece on here is for Dark Curse. It pulls in enemies hit, but can no longer occur more than once every 6 seconds to the same enemy, and it reduces the cooldown as well. So when it comes to this piece of gear, it will pull enemies towards you. Now, not to the center of the curse, which is very strange. So the way it reads when it says on here is it just says it will pull in enemies hit. And I expected it to pull them into the center of the curse, but when you do the center of the curse and you go like this, it actually pulls them to you. Whether that's a bug, I'm unsure, because this is a targeted area. You're doing an area to place it to pull them into the center of that area, but it doesn't. It pulls them to you. Very strange. You know, it pulls them to me. I was expecting this piece to be something that you could just press and not apply to an area. It would have been much better with it pulling them to you. And like I said, this could be a bug. You know, to me, here I place it, it should pull the enemies to the center of that kind of area, that circle. But no, it doesn't. It applies it to you. So the best place for this to be placed is underneath you, because then you're bringing them all to you, just like so. Now, if this worked like other Dark Curse abilities, where it surrounds you, like the Dark Curse we're all used to using, where you have the area effect that's huge. I think it's called fulsome feeding, maybe, something like that. Then you could just press this once. It would kind of have a period of time it's on for, maybe 6 seconds, where any enemy you go near will just pull them into you. So as you're kind of doing overworld farming, you're drawing in enemies and killing them and plowing through them. It would be kind of a really cool effect. So I'd like to know if that is a bug. When you read actually in the skills here, it just says, yeah, Dark Curse also pulls in enemies hit. It doesn't actually say where to, but as we can confirm, it pulls them into you. Now, it'd be nice to know if this is a bug or if this is how it's meant to be. But to me, you know, if I place this here, that pulls them to me. I was out of the circle. That makes no sense. Makes no sense. But it's not one that I can see we're using at the moment in time when it comes to the builds we're going to be building. Now, we've checked out helm, shoulders, and chest. Let's have a look at the legs. So the legs here, or the pants, is Dark Curse now unleashes a wave of damage that damages all nearby enemies. It charges energy as you move that increase the damage of the wave. Okay, so that seems again fairly simple. Now I'm moving. There's no kind of, can't see any sort of charge bar. So when I use this, it literally just jumps, and there you can see the charge bar. So on my circle here, if you watch, you'll see the green part surrounding it will disappear. And as I'm moving, the green charges up. It's very quick. Now, this is kind of cool. But again, it's not one I think we'll use very often, because I think there's better. Now, in the read-up, it literally just states that Dark Curse now unleashes a wave, dealing 3/7/4/7 damage to all nearby enemies, and kind of while you move, it charges up, increases the damage up to a total amount of 17,756, and it increases the damage when you've got it obviously there as well. So yeah, it's a cool looking effect. You know, I don't know where we're going to fit that in and if we can fit it in, but at this moment in time, from the builds I'm working on, it doesn't fit in, I can confirm. Now, that's the first 4 pieces of gear checked out. You've seen how they work. Let's have a look at the main hand. So, main hand says, critical hits with bone spirits trigger soulfire novas that deal 1790 damage, and it cannot occur once every second, and any subsequent damage from multiple novas to the same enemy will be reduced in damage. So, let's go ahead and look at the skill in game here. Does it read exactly the same? Yes, it does. We know sometimes it doesn't. Let's equip this skill. Now, let's go and see exactly what it does here. See, it had a bounce off. If you watch there, it bounces some things off the side. That's cool. For AoE farming, you know, which most of the game is all about, if you can keep up bone spirits with another piece of gear that we're going to look at, this is really, really effective. Although it didn't seem to do anything there. There it did. That seemed buggy. There it did. You know, that's quite a cool little ability. You know, a little added extra onto the actual main effect itself. Now, we do have another one when it comes to the last piece of gear, which is for Death's Egress. It's another Bone Spirit one. Bone Spirit now draws in enemies' essence, which basically conjures a Bone Spirit for each enemy that you take it. Obviously, you do this from, and it rapidly orbits you. Now, we all remember seeing the China notes for this one, seeing these massive skulls just whirling around us. Now, here, if we can kind of find a group of mobs that are big enough, here we go. This one's looked good, because you can only get a maximum of 5 skulls. So when I press this, it will draw in and have these 5 cool looking skulls around you. Now, these also can work well when you pair it with the main hand that I showed you a minute ago. So if you pair this with the main hand, and you then find some enemies again, let's see if we can find another at least 5. It's always handy to find at least 5, because then we get an actual true representation of what this ability can do. Here we go. This is plentiful. So here we spin out, and you see that you had them from the main hand all shoot off as well. This one can be used in a version of the new overworld build that I'm actually going to be releasing probably on Monday. And I will show both versions of it off in that one build guide, because I think it's worth doing. Now, that is all the new essences, and I thought I would just go through and showcase them one by one like this. Not necessarily overly testing them, to show you just to show you the visuals, to show you my opinions on them. Now, my opinions, I've kind of voiced them a little bit when it comes to in this video, but I would say that the ones that we're going to be using most of the time in our new overworld builds are going to be the helm and the shoulders in one version of the overworld build. There is another shoulders that I swap out for another version, but that will be shown in the video on Monday. I would say when it comes to the chest piece, this one we're not going to be using. It doesn't kind of make sense at the moment. I'd like clarification on whether that is a bug or if that's intended how it's meant to be. I don't feel that it works as it's worded. It pulls in enemies to the center of the curse is how I read this, but actually it just pulls the enemies to you, even if you're outside of the curse. It doesn't really make sense on what it states. When it comes to the legs, this one is fairly cool, applying something on the ground, but again, it's probably not one we're going to be using, simply because the legs that I'm going to be using when it comes to the other Dark Curse, the Fulsome Feeding, they're just better. But overall, I think the gear set this time round is very, very strong. We've definitely got some meta changing skills coming up when it comes to the gear and the essences. How it's going to affect PvP, sorry, I don't know yet. When it comes to the bone spirits spinning around you, if you can get enough of them from the souls of your enemies on a battlefield, and you can pair that with, say, fears, that could be pretty brutal. So I think we'll leave it there for this video, guys. If you've got any comments about the new gear, or tell me how successful you've been in farming the new gear, whether you've got to 800 yet, let me know of your experiences and kind of any kind of thing that you've noticed when it comes to the gear, maybe bugs, things like that. I would definitely be interested to see that and test anything out that you've found. And when it comes to build ideas, come to my Discord. We're always sharing ideas and that in there. There's plenty of us posting stuff, not just in the Necro channel. I have all class channels, and you can ask anyone any questions in there. It's a very friendly bunch, and yeah, even if you're new or veteran, just come along. But we'll leave it there, guys. Don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel, goes a long way, and we'll see you in the next one.